The Clone Wars ends with some of the best Star Wars content we're ever going to get. The episode begins with this ominous music, the title card green this time, titled Victory and Death. Now, the intros of each of these final episodes in Season 7 have encapsulated the tone that the episode's about to take, and this sad, depressing music really is fitting for what we got in this final episode. We pick up where we left off with the clones trying to barge into the medical bay where Ahsoka had just saved Rex. The action in this episode is obviously just top tier of what we've gotten in Clone Wars or anything in Star Wars in general. What this episode does really well with the action though is showing the parallels between Ahsoka and Rex's escape versus Maul's. We start off with Rex and Ahsoka having some of the best teamwork we've ever seen in Star Wars in general, but them caring about the lives of the clones, not willing to take that extra leap, even if it's meaning their own life. Not wanting to take the lives of the clones, their brothers that they've been fighting for all this time. Ahsoka and Rex work perfectly together, showing the history and legacy that these two characters have had these past seasons. Ahsoka defends all these blaster bullets coming towards her and Rex, while Rex goes ahead and stuns all his brethren. Then we jump over to Maul, who in the last episode had a hallway scene that competes against Vader's in Rogue One. Maul is going towards the hyperdrive engines to destroy them, and on his way, he literally decimates with absolutely no regard for the life of any of these clones, understandably considering the character that he is. But the sheer spectacle and power reminds you how insanely strong that Maul is. He just tosses clones aside with the Force. He launches them back at one another. He runs up and punches some. He just throws things at them. Like, he just absolutely wrecks everything in his pathway. He then destroys these hyperdrive engines, and this isn't some small room. It's a huge room with these huge engines, buildings tall, and he just destroys them seamlessly like it took nothing, and then tosses them on the clones who are still charging at him while he's doing all this. Flash forward a little bit, and then we get to the hangars where Ahsoka and Rex have found a ship that he can maybe escape on. Cue into the hangar, you see the hangar doors open up, and you hear the clones talking about this moon that's pulling them into the gravitational field, which gives you stark flashbacks to the Death Star in A New Hope. Once somewhat safely in the hangar bay, we get such a powerful speech between Ahsoka and Rex. You see Rex cry for what I believe is the first time, and it honestly makes you want to cry a little bit yourself. You see them debating whether or not it's okay to kill the clones that they fought so long and so hard with beforehand. Rex regretfully saying that in order for them to survive, they're going to have to sacrifice these guys, while Ahsoka saying one of the most powerful lines, I think, is that they may be willing to die, but I'm not the one who is going to kill them. It's such a Jedi thing to say, but you realize that even the Jedi Council probably wouldn't even say something like this anymore, showing that Ahsoka is probably following more of what the true Jedi believe, more so than the Jedi act upon. Now cues another action scene where they go down, face a platoon of clones with Jesse leading them. They try to set a distraction while their droids, who rip the droids because they were some of the biggest champs in this episode, and even in these last couple episodes saving them really, and then dying in a very ruthless and brutal way. We see more of the action with the droids helping out, and then Rex and Ahsoka following the same pattern of Ahsoka deflecting the blasters and then Rex trying to stun them, or Ahsoka throwing in a few force pushes to knock them out. Maul runs up, steals the ship that Ahsoka and Rex were about to take, and as Maul leaves, Ahsoka pulls back the starship that he's leaving in, and it gives you back to parallels of The Rise of Skywalker, which not my favorite, but it still shows you how powerful of a force user Ahsoka was. The same way that when Rey did that, when she thought Chewie was in that ship that was escaping. Then we come to a bunch of cool action scenes, essentially just leading to Ahsoka and Rex's escape in a big, epic, kind of depressing final battle, where we see some really intense lightsaber moves. We see Ahsoka really coming close to the end, getting shot, getting beat up. You can see the fatigue in her, which is something that's really interesting. Instead of just seeing a Jedi just continuously deflect for hours on end, you see her actually tiring out and trying to make that final escape. The ship is blowing up, and you see the clones still trying to function in different parts, with the control bay still discussing like options that they have before they just seamlessly blow up. You see the clones all over just giving up their lives, just running around trying to capture Ahsoka no matter what it takes. All in all, though, at the end, you see Ahsoka escape with Rex, and they fly away as the Republic starship just falls down to the ground of the planet beneath them. Now, here comes the most powerful moment for me in this episode, where we don't see Ahsoka and Rex just fly away and try to escape what's going on. No, they go down to the ruins of the starship. Rex and Ahsoka try to give the clones some kind of burial, showing the respect for the men that they were thanking them for their sacrifice and everything that led up to this point before the inevitable demise of everyone that they know and understand isn't truly their fault. It's tough seeing everyone's clone helmet just lined up there, knowing that how many have just died for a meaningless reason. It's really impactful because you know what happens in episode 3, but the Clone Wars really is what humanized the clones, and ending it on a way that just shows everything they've been through and actually feeling like clones dying, but actually understanding that these are all people who have their own personalities, their own beliefs, their own thoughts, be forced into this one decision that is inevitably just going to end all of them and just leads to demise and makes them act against truly what they would want, their will and their real beliefs. Then we get an unexpected flash forward to what ends the episode on a great, powerful note. You see Vader and now stormtroopers exploring the area and seeing the remnants of that crashed Republic starship, which you can only assume happened so many years ago. Vader goes in and sees the lightsaber that he had given Ahsoka so many years beforehand and picks it up and ignites it. What's so interesting is whenever there's something dealing with Ahsoka, whether it's in Rebels with Vader, is you can see through Vader's mask and you see his actual eyes, and it just emphasizes more of the emotion within that character and what he's going through. And even though it does seem emotionless in terms of like it doesn't change much, his eyes and everything, it's like you still see the humanity in there. And I like that parallel and that what it's trying to say, that Ahsoka is or was some of the humanity left within Anakin. Then we get this phenomenal final shot where we see one of the clone troopers' helmets just sitting there as we see the reflection of Vader in it as he slowly walks away. To me, it shows a reflection of what all this led to, the legacy of the clones, and the destruction and the monster that it all created. Then we cue to the credits with this melancholy music, and that's the end of the Clone Wars. Looking back on Season 7, the first 2/3 weren't exactly what we wanted. The Bad Batch had a few good moments, but the middle obviously was very weak. But this final 4-episode arc, which you can kind of compile into almost a 2-hour movie in itself, is the strongest arc Clone Wars has ever had. It's going to make me miss the show more than ever. Really, I would have died to see more episode 3 lead-in stuff from the Clone Wars, seeing more of Order 66 get fleshed out. And I know we will in other media, in games like we saw in Fallen Order and etc. But this last 4 episodes are just so well made and so powerful that it's going to make me really miss Clone Wars, but really appreciate the legacy that it has left.